All right, so um, to all of you who probably watch my YouTube videos, you already know how I start off. This targeted individual CJBK. Um, okay, I'm trying to jump right into it. Yeah, my targeting definitely picked up a lot. I already know there's a lot more. Like, um, I think I've been becoming very, very successful at learning about the technologies that's involved or the tactics that's involved when it comes to gang stalking and then also being able to smoke out just how many people are involved in it. Um, it's New York City, so it's like if there's like 9 million people in this city, then it kind of feels like it's at least about like a good, I don't even know. Maybe they're just always around me, but I know not everybody is a part of it. But then I also have learned that there are different factions of these groups. It's not like a race based thing. It's not that. I know that in some parts of the country that there may be some gang stalking groups that are racist, but at least in New York City, it's not race based. There are different factions, probably different political groups, different economic groups, different cultural groups, but race based. Uh, Not necessarily sure about that. But so what I'm gonna do now, because I want to try this, right? I'm going to well hopefully I can be able to do it because I know for the most part, as I try to do it, they're probably gonna try to be as quiet as possible. Um I am going to record my synthetic telepathy, because remember in order to understand how synthetic telepathy work is basically the use of microwave microwave or millimeter wave radio frequencies that are transmitted and then they stimulate the auditory cortex, which is like the ear canal is here, then it travels through the cochlea, and then it stimulates the ulnar nerve, and then the ulnar nerve gets the information to the auditory cortex. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record from the auditory cortex. Um, right now, the only sound you should be able to actually hear from the mic itself is the sound of running water. My mother, she's in the kitchen, I think, doing dishes or something like that, or washing something. I don't know. And then, not really sure if I'm okay. She stopped. Not really sure if I'm technically hearing just like people playing outside. Because my window is closed. The window is closed. Um, yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to record from the right side of my skull, near the or right over the auditory cortex, and then I'm going to, as the video was recording me, I'm going to edit that very same file, and then I'm going to try to play it back. um I hear a lot of background noise, but at times I have to wear earplugs to tell the difference between um, whether it's the synthetic telepathy or if it's actually just background noise coming through the ear canals. All right. I'm gonna use two different apps. Um, Someone that I just come came across through a Facebook page. They put me on to a app called um, Boost Hearing. Boost Hearing, and then let me see, or Hear Boost actually. Let me see. Yeah, it's called Hear Boost, right? And then when you open it up, I know it's like in reverse. Maybe I'll flip the I'll be able to flip this video or something, but it's like you start listening, and then you can boost the volume of the microphone itself. Right. So I'm gonna use the app called Hear Boost, and then I'm also gonna use this app called Decibel X. Right. So I'm gonna do it twice. Um. So this is what the Decibel X app looks like. Not sure if you can hear certain things, but this is one thing I want TIs to acknowledge, right? If you if you're uncertain, or if you feel like there is radiation coming from like your neighbors and whatnot, first and foremost, you should definitely get either a like a magnetometer app, or something that can measure the amount of electromagnetic radiation in an area, or get a whole separate type of magnetometer, or what is the actual name for it? EMF reader, like a device that's not your phone. Um, Other thing is, I always suggest people to download another app called Architecture of Radio. Architecture of Radio displays all um, cell towers, satellites, Wi-Fi routers, and it shows the transference, or the transmission of data coming from cell phone towers. It also shows whether that cell phone tower is a registered cell phone tower by a company such as like AT&T, T-Mobile. Then it also shows if that cell phone tower is not registered at all. It would be, listed as unknown carrier. Um, Pay closer attention to how many unknown carrier cell towers are around you, and then the distance they are from you. And if you want to get even more investigative about it, actually what you should do, and do this very cautiously, is try to see if you can trace or find the physical location of those unknown carrier cell towers, because a registered cell tower will be would like if it's a T-Mobile, AT&T cell tower, it should lead you to an actual physical cell tower. But on the app, if you are finding an unknown carrier cell tower, and you try to trace it to the track it to the amount of meters that it claims that it's distant from you or whatever, and you don't find not even a cell tower at least within 20 meters of the location on the app. Or you know what, here, I'm gonna just show you kind of real quick. All right, now, okay, it's going to ask you, architecture radio would like to access motion and orientation. Now, boom. This is basically what it looks like. It's like augmented reality. You see those spikes are cell towers, right? And then you see, okay, and then you see like the satellites. So, right. So you see how that one says unknown carrier, and then you see how that one there says unknown carrier. These unknown carrier cell towers are emitting or transmitting. Now you see those spikes, those spheres. That is data being transferred from an unknown, carrier cell tower, right? Now, let's see. Now you see how that one says T-Mobile? That's what I'm referring to. Now, okay, I'm pretty sure I pissed off a lot of the gangstalkers because I hear them all over the place. So this will be the opportune time for me to start this. Okay, so now I'm recording. So now they're playing music. But don't worry, I'm recording from the skull, not the background. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna stop the recording. Okay. So I'm going to play. Don't worry. I'm recording from the skull, not the background. So I don't know if you could hear it, but I actually kind of heard it with heard some of the noises. Okay, not noise, but voices. And that's just before I even start to edit the recording. Um, Granted, it is daylight, so there could be people outside. But I don't know. I would find that kind of hard to believe if I have the microphone, the window is closed, and then I also have the microphone of the cell phone pressed firmly against the side of my skull where the auditory cortex is. Now, now you're about to watch me. Okay. So rename. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to use an app called Audio Editor. Can you see that? Okay. So it's an app called Audio Editor. I have several other times that I recorded, um, different times where, um, you know, well, I recorded, my synthetic telepathy and everything. But this time I'm using a different app. So now let's see. Okay. See, I'm going to go to import file. Today is the 15th. Now, where is that? Okay, I gotta see if I get audio master. Audio was copied and can now paste it. Boost and volume. Let me see. Oh, saved file. There we go. I just need to save it. Okay, so that was 2 minutes worth. All right. So now, okay, so that was the first one. You see the date. Uh, well, it's this one here. Okay, boom, audio editor. Now, first, how you like to use the audio toolbox, or you know what? Let's just go to edit. Try that one first. Don't worry. All right, so from here, I click on the option that says FX. Don't worry. Then I'm going to equalizer. I tap on custom, and then I'm going to increase the gain. see. Actually, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go to audio toolbox. That's normally what I do first. Okay. So what I tend to do first is I increase the volume gain. I increase the volume gain, and then it basically just it just increases the volume of the file. But I do that normally about at least so I copy the file with the increased volume, and then I just delete the older file, so that way I don't get them confused. So when I increase the volume, I do it at least about let's say 3 or 4 times. So you see, this is on the top one. That's the first edited version. Okay, now this is going to be the second time. Don't worry. All right, I'm gonna do it at least 2 more times. So um you could tell that the waves are getting larger the more I increase the volume, right? And then also, don't worry, it's loud. Don't worry. Actually, you know what? Don't worry. Listen. Okay. So that was just the file that I increased the volume. I think I did it what 3 times? One, two, yeah, 3 times. Now what I usually tend to do is I click on different ones. So this one is noise reduction. Um, then for whatever reason, this one that says voice and accommodation separation or voice and accompaniment separation. I click on that one, and then matter of fact, let me do the enhanced vocal. All right. So first one I'm gonna play is the noise reduction. I don't know if you can tell, but there are some points in it where you can, where it almost, like, at least I can tell, and I don't even have on headphones. Well, this is just from the speaker itself. When I put on headphones, I hear it much clearer. From the speaker itself, it almost sounds like there is like a, almost like a commentative, directional conversation that seems like it's about, you know, someone, right? Now, I could say it's about me, but in this recording, I'm not going to say it's about me. I want you to listen to what's being said. This is from Enhanced Vocal. I could hear it as clear as day. Now that's Enhanced Vocal, okay? Um, Now this one here is more interesting, right? This the vocals and accompaniment separation. I'm gonna play the one that's under vocals first. Okay. Don't worry. Radiation. Alright. Now that's the one that said vocals. Now I'm gonna play the one that says accompaniment. this one you can already tell. It's like you still hear voices, right? Remember, the microphone of the phone was pressed completely against my skull, meaning it shouldn't really hear anything else. And then just so you know, I'm gonna play the original file again. I'm gonna play the original file. Remember everything that you heard so far. This is the original file now. Don't worry. See, volume's all the way up. This is the original file. Now think about it. This is the original file. If it was conversations from, like, let's say a room, or if it was outside the window, I'm on the fourth floor of a building at that. Shouldn't you hear it in the original file? I heard him just now say he's so professional about it. Now, very little you can hear conversation very, very little. All right. So, like I said, now I started out, but before I even started to pay for these apps, I started out doing just 30-second clippings. Uh, Matter of fact, I'm gonna even play you one of my 30-second clippings. Oh, and then of the one I just took today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save the one for noise reduction. Save the one for noise reduction, right? Um, One of my 30-second clippings. Okay, not that one. That one was from January 6th. I'm gonna play the one that says January 9th. Uh, January 9th. So it's gonna be this one here, January 9th, file A. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play you the original file of that January 9th. Da, da, da. So that's my first January, right? This is the original, but you hear nothing. You hear nothing, right? Now, one of these is actually, I did 3 on January 9th. Here's the second one. So this is the second one. Play the original. I'm gonna play the original first. Nothing, right? That's the moment that I'm taking the phone from my head. Now, all right. This one here, you see January 9th, file B. This one here. It's not okay, so now, I'm gonna go back to the one I did today. Um, so you see right at the top where it says the volume gain, and then you see noise reduction. In fact, let me rename that. Today's date is the 15th. I'm just like, look, I don't do anything to nobody, and I don't disrespect nobody. What I don't appreciate are bullies and people that try to see if they can use power, um, intimidation, all those type of things to see if they can control and take advantage of people. I can't sit back and let somebody do that to me. Nah, I haven't let nothing like that happen to me since I was like 15 years old. I'm not letting it start at 32 years old. So, I'll be 33 in March. You know, they said Jesus died at 33. So I was just like, you know what? With everything that's going on with me, who knows? All right. So I'm back at the toolbox, right? I'm going to do another one with noise reduction, uh, volume gain. All right. So these are going to be the previews I'm playing, right? So remember at the top, that's the one that's saved within. Oh, crackling sounds like my head. Right. So that was the one that just had the three volume gains, and then the one noise reduction. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this one with another volume gain. This is gonna be four volume gains. Don't worry. So I think I like that one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save that one with the volume gain. So it's gonna be four volume gains and one noise reduction. Okay. Okay. Oh. All right. Trying to make sure this doesn't become an hour-long video. It's already 45, going on 46 minutes. Let's see. Let's do the vocals and accompaniment separation. Now, I know this is a question that some people would ask would be, okay, so if you're recording this, where could it be coming from? Like, is it like, do you think someone's just aiming something at you at all times? This is going to be the hardest thing to really understand and believe. But you have to realize I wouldn't say it if I didn't find the patents, if I didn't find the actual scientific studies, like literally documented studies, documented patents. Um, there is a way where you can find the resonant frequency of a person's body and neurological system, right? You can find their resonant frequency. Resonant frequency is like, it's like basically like your DNA but in sound, right? So what someone can do is they can take like an antenna, and the antenna will be pointed at you, right? They can take the antenna and point it at you, and then it's like sending a signal, but then that signal is also then registered by the brain, and then that same frequency, it kind of almost does like this inverted like return back to the sender, because a lot of people don't realize the human brain is basically like a FM receiver, right? So that signal comes in, it resonates with the brain's frequency, resonant frequency, and then it returns that same frequency back to the sender. Um, then what they do is they save that recording. Right now, here's the thing: it's harder for them to get that exact resonant frequency unless you're in like this very calm, not so focused state, like almost like, well, what they always tell me to do: watch the movie, Christopher. Because when I'm watching a film, most of the time I'm very relaxed. So it's like it has something to do with the brain wave activity. And if I'm in a relaxed state, it's easier to read that, that exact, resonant frequency, right? Then, once they have your resonant frequency saved, they can basically, I guess they run it through a brain computer interface. And then they also probably have like a brain cloud interface, cloud meaning the internet. But I'm pretty sure they do the brain computer interface first because they have to get you linked up to a computer. They have to get you linked up in some way. So once they have the brain computer interface registered with you, then they can be able to transmit different frequencies, um, to you, and also try to, they can say use that same antenna to, I guess, find, the different resonances of different parts of your brain. You got your auditory cortex here. um, that's kind of a more interesting thing. There's a process called heterodyne that they use for that. It's like basically taking two frequencies that are of different wavelengths, and then it kind of like triangulate you. So one would be higher in one ear, the other one will be lower in another ear. And then, I can't really remember how to explain it. Remember, I'm not an expert at this. I'm literally a novice who just done a lot of reading and a lot of research. But yeah, through the heterodyne, they basically find a particular frequency, um, to what you call it, be able to get the, um, I can't even really, I don't even fully understand it, but I'm pretty sure whoever watches these videos at some point, whether I'm dead or alive, you know, they'll be able to understand it. Dr. James Giordano probably already knows since he teaches, a lot of this tech to, U.S. military. Um, James Duncan, he definitely, not James Duncan, Robert Duncan. Robert Duncan, he knows. Um, Dr. Jose Delgado, I'm pretty sure he passed away a long time ago, but you can watch his video, of him, basically being able to turn a, he actually did invasive, um, um, implantation of transmitters into a bull's brain, and then he, forced the bull to charge at him. But then with the remote, as the bull got within a certain amount of feet, or yeah, within a certain amount of feet, he pressed this button on the remote, and then the bull just basically stopped charging him. It was just like, hey, I don't even feel like doing it. Like, just made the bull completely just not want to charge at him anymore. Then there's a few other people. Go on YouTube, watch type in bigger than Snowden. If that doesn't tell you, if that doesn't tell you anything, it's, what's his name? A former NSA officer named Bill Biney. He, Bill Biney or Bill Binney. He basically is a whistleblower on this type of technology. Then you have um, Nick Bigish. Um, or Bigich, something like that. He's another one. Yeah, there's a few people that's on this, and you know what? They're all doing the right thing because this is a complete, obliteration of anything that like this completely destroys all sense of the word of human rights because it basically invades every facet of a human being without their consent, from their mind to their body. And then on top of that, they also affect you in other ways because they have people in different, sectors and sectors, different sectors of the economy, whether it's in construction, whether it's in medical, whether it's in law enforcement, whether it's in, you know, crossing guard, even the homeless. They got people all over. And on top of that, it's like when you think of something like this, it's like when you think about it, think of the Manchurian Candidate, or remember the movie They Live with what was it, 1986? I think it was 1986 or 1988 with Hall of Fame wrestler Roddy Piper and the brother, I forgot the brother's name, but I know his first name started with David. But yeah, about the basically Roddy Piper. He's this traveling guy looking for work, and he comes into, I think it looks like L.A. And then, long story short, finds out that all these people, that a lot of the people, you know, in L.A. aren't actually human. I'm not saying that they're aliens. I'm not saying all that. But yeah, he basically finds out that there is a secret society of, aliens who are basically controlling or manipulating, other, humans who are within, on Earth. And then he also finds out that there are humans who actually just go along with the aliens and they benefit and profit off of the manipulation of other humans. So it's like you already see that they've been talking about stuff like this since the 80s, and then even going way back before then. You know, then what else? Um, it's a lot. It's really a lot. Let me see. 56 minutes. I want to try to do at least one more edit. I said I was going to do the vocal and accompaniment, so okay, so this is the one after the four. This is from today with four vocal gain, well, four volume gains, and then one noise reduction. So I'm gonna do the vocal. Okay, so I'm just gonna play a little bit of that one. That was at least like a minute 30 of that one. Remember, the original file is about 2 minutes and 1 second. That was the vocals. Here's the accompaniment. This one, it kind of like muffles out voices. So as you can see, I have to be patient with it. Let's do enhanced vocals. Hmm. So I think this is the last one before I think I'm gonna just stick with that one, right? All right. So I'm gonna come out of the toolbox and I'm gonna go to the edit, and then after this, I'm gonna be done. All right. For the effects, customize. Now I'm gonna try to slowly just. See some. That is done. And then, you know what I'm going to do? I'll save that one. And then, what I'm going to do, so, you see, one of them, after all the editing, one of them's like 40 megabytes, the other one's like 1.9. I'm going to take the 40 megabyte one, go back to Audio Toolbox, and then I'm going to use noise reduction. Okay. Don't worry. See, that one, it turns down even. Wait, maybe if I do enhanced vocals. Don't worry. You can. It's like, see, I'm not an audio engineer, so I don't know how to actually do these things. I'm literally just figuring it all out as I go. Alright, I'm going back to volume gain on this one. Don't worry. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because one, I'm getting tired, and two, I think you kind of get the gist of it. So, I mean, I could spend hours doing this, honestly, but I'd rather not. The effort that I put into it, I believe, explains enough. And then the fact that, especially if you actually put on headphones, if you put on headphones, you'll probably be able to hear it much more clear than you will coming from the speaker of your computer or your laptop or your speakers. Put on headphones and listen to it. So yeah, yeah. People would ask me, why you doing this? Like, this is, if you know that the streets are doing this, why are you snitching? You know you shouldn't be snitching. Da da da. You know where you grew up at. You know where you live. Here's the thing. Here's my thing, and I'm just speaking the truth, not just my truth, but I'm speaking the truth. I always believe that if you don't do nothing to nobody, you don't disrespect nobody, if you don't walk around looking flashy or showing off money or anything, then you shouldn't have no reason for the streets to be even looking in your direction, right? That's my whole thing. And then for the most part, you know, I've I've supported people. I put it like that. But for the most part, I've always been a good person. I've always done good by anybody I ever come across. What I don't like, what I don't like is someone telling me after they used a device to infiltrate my mind and my body and then make a threat to me to try to see if they can scare me, to say, we're going to shoot you in your sleep. We're going to shoot you in your sleep. And then when I go looking around my apartment, this is back when I was living in the Bronx, when I had got this apartment in the Bronx in 2019. Well, the synthetic telepathy didn't start until about September, late September, early October in some 2020. Someone saying, we're going to shoot you in your sleep and you ain't going to find us. We're going to shoot you in your sleep. You ain't going to find us. I took offense to that. I remember, like, I literally went looking around my house for a microphone, for like a speaker and stuff. I even went outside thinking there was people outside saying this, because I lived on the second floor. And, whatchamacallit. And I'm thinking I'm gonna at least see some people outside. Ain't nobody outside. And then I couldn't. It wasn't like I found a recording device or a speaker device or anything inside of the house. So I was just like, where is this coming from? And it bugged me out because um I didn't know anything about technology because I'm a very minimalist, simplistic person. I don't want a lot of things. A lot of things may seem interesting to have or to learn about, but I don't necessarily make myself into a person that want a lot of things, because the more you want, the more you're going to be likely to probably strain yourself more than you ever need to for something that's not even all that tangible to your life anyway. Something that's not even going to feed you internally. It's just, most of the time we don't even realize we're being manipulated and coerced into wanting more materials that just only what fulfill your external pleasures, you know, your aesthetic pleasures, and But yeah, I didn't like the idea that somebody did that to me. And then, I'm gonna admit, like when it first happened to me, like I thought I was being messed with by demons. Like I literally thought I was being messed with by demons. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, this is crazy. And I remember I was in the house watching a movie. That's their main thing. They're like, he's always at home watching movies. And everybody who know me know I work. I ain't no lazy person. I work hard and I play hard. And then if I want to sit home and watch a movie and have a drink on my couch, I feel like I deserve that every time I come through the door from work. I deserve that. But anyway, you know, and I remember the thing that woke me up about it that really made me say, wait a minute, was I was sitting on my couch and then all of a sudden I just started like breaking down in tears. I was like, oh, because by that time, I was sipping on some whiskey or whatever. By that time, I realized I couldn't find nobody, and I didn't know where the sounds were coming from. I'm sitting on my couch with my hands on my knees, and I'm like, well, with my elbows on my knees, and I'm just like, oh, you know, my mother always told me, I was gonna get my head bad, and now I got demons after me, and I kind of started crying. Not even kind of. I started crying. Like I really was crying. Like damn, I really messed myself up because my mom, she was raised Baptist and stuff like that. So I was like, dang, I really should have listened to my mother. But then all of a sudden, she not my mother, but like I told, anybody who's been following my YouTube videos, it's four main people. It's like two dudes, and then it's two women, right? The two women are cousins. Both of them look fine. I like I said, I know what they all look like, and I was able to piece. I was able to put the voices with the faces because peep this. So um I was breaking down and whatnot. Then all of a sudden I hear this voice, and I kid you not, it was the most like unexpected feeling of relief that came over me. All I heard was a woman say, and it was such a New York accent. It was like a Bronx accent too. She was like, "Oh, don't cry, don't cry. Oh, he crying, don't cry." And then I said, "Oh," like I was like, "Wait a minute." Two things went through my head. One was, "Is that a woman?" And then two, I was like, "Damn, she sound good." So, and then all of a sudden, right after she noticed, I like to call her Jasmine. I don't know why, but for some reason, yeah, I got a history with Jasmine. But anyway, um, like what you call it? I call her Jasmine. It's a good thing, not a bad thing when it comes to Jasmine. But um, when she it was like when she noticed that I had stopped crying and I just started listening to her voice, she was like, "Oh, he feel happy now because he heard a black woman voice. Oh," and then I was like, "Wait a minute." And then she was like, "Oh, look how happy he is. Don't cry." And then I can't remember too much else after that. I remember saying, "You know what? I don't know who y'all are, but I tell you what, I'm gonna go to sleep. I hope I don't hear y'all no more. Y'all got y'all laugh out on me." Because that's how real I was. That's how real I was. I was like, okay, at this point, I know it's people doing this stuff. Because that's when I was like the lingo and the speech. It was too real. It was too real. It wasn't like demonic voices or anything like that. No, it was like I'm born and raised in New York. It was like I know it was some New York motherfuckers. so so it was like I knew it was somebody around, like someone around me. I didn't, when I moved over there, I didn't know a lot of people. But long story short, I woke up the next day, and then I hear one of the dudes, the main dude who's always, speaking through the transmission. I call him Michael. Um, Light skinned, skinny dude. He came to me in a dream manipulation. The first time before the synthetic telepathy happened. Yeah, dream manipulations, lucid dreams are very real. Um, um, and whatchamacallit, and when I woke up the next morning, I just hear his voice going, "We told you we ain't going nowhere." And I was like, "Damn." I was like, "Nah, something's gotta be wrong." So, that's when I came back home. Well, came back to my mother's crib, in Brooklyn. I came back over here, and I was like, "Ma, I need you to pray for me because um I'm hearing voices and I don't know." And I could tell she was concerned about, because I mean, obviously, someone tell you that they hearing voices, it's like, what? You know, but nah, I knew what I was hearing, but I was like, it's not like what you think, but I know I hear them. So whatchamacallit, and then the funny thing is, we were sitting in the living room. We were sitting in the living room, and my back was against the windows, and she was sitting across from me. And I remember when I told her that, all of a sudden I heard somebody yell, "He's snitching!" And I turned and looked out the window like, the fuck? I'm looking out the window like, is somebody? I'm thinking, like, who the hell? And the first thing that went through my mind was, who the hell is listening to me? Second thing was, how the hell are they listening to me? And then the third thing was, who the hell am I snitching on? I don't know what the fuck this shit is. So whatchamacallit? I'm like, I don't know what this is. Talking about I'm snitching. So I'm like, okay, and look, I'm getting chills right now. So that's how I know God is with me no matter what. I believe in the afterlife. I believe in, things that you do here on this earth, it adds to the battle, waging war between light and dark. Everything that we do while we're in our flesh, it adds to that battle between, the army of God versus the army of, Lucifer, right? And, whatchamacallit, fast forward, I did some searches online, after realizing, doctors won't help me, and then I kind of also realized that, there were several people in the hospital that was a part of this thing too, because of some weird ass glitch in the matrix type thing that happened when I was in the hospital. Um, the dogs always let me know when somebody's about to do something to me. But anyway, whatchamacallit? So, I love dogs. Um, then next thing you know, so I'm basically like, um, I think the dogs be barking like that when it's somebody that doesn't come up there that often. Because, dogs will always bark at somebody that they don't know and somebody that doesn't come around that often, right? Anyway, so, I'm doing some searches online. That's when I find out about targeted individuals. I find out about electronic harassment. Um, I thank God that I came across Myron May in his videos, because Myron May was the first one to really break down like the nine different it was like nine different, tactics of um gang stalking. Let me see. I wrote them all down on a piece of paper, and then I don't know what I did with that piece of paper, but I'm glad I at least saved the right. So it was like nine methods of gang stalking target individuals. One was called anchoring. Anchoring is basically knowing that there is a control panel monitoring and street level monitoring. So, meaning that there is an electronic handler who basically monitors you electronically through your let's call it your bio essence, your frequency that's moving through the electromagnetic fields and the radio frequencies that are in the air that we can't see. um so there is someone who works, who's an anchor or electronic handler who does that monitoring. Then you also have street level monitoring, where it's like people who are linked up to the whole system, but they basically are in on the ground in the street, basically acting normal, but they're still low key watching you. um Two is called brighting. Brighting is something where it's like, you know, uh, a car. A car will probably have like very, very bright high beams on, or when it's not even necessary, especially when you're driving. Or let's say, some some um, some TIs notice, some TIs say that when they're walking around, they notice, cars that kind of look the same, and they always have like one headlight on, something like that. Noise and sound frequency campaigns, right? This could be anything from car horns, sound frequencies, produce sounds that are created that enter through the ear canal, basically. Like, let's say if you're sitting in your living room, and maybe you don't pay attention to it at first, but you just always notice every time I'm sitting in my living room, it sounds like there's a marble, being like a heavy marble drop right above my head. That is a form of like synchronization, right? It's like they're trying to break the concentration that you're having when you're like watching, if you're focused on something, and they need to get an exact measurement of your brain mapping, or the frequency that you're producing in your mind. They need to break that focus, so they will drop like a heavy marble or something on the floor, and that's how they'll be able to you know uh be able to get a better mapping or a better synchronization of your brain activity, right? Ghosting. Ghosting is basically when he classified it as breaking and entering in order to rearrange personal items or destroy items. Sometimes they don't actually steal things; they'll just probably move something where you last remembered, but then now it's in somewhere else, or they'll do something to your property. A TI that I've grown to know out in Ohio. She's a single mother with three toddler children, right? She constantly has people breaking into her apartment, her home, right? And then this is the part that gets me, is she documented how people broke into her home while they were asleep. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but with this technology, you can either induce people into a deeper sleep so that they can't actually wake up from certain things. They broke into, remember, this is all dealing with frequencies. And once you can transmit a frequency into the brain, your brain controls the rest of your body. So once they transmit a certain frequency into the brain, it can either lock the body down and you won't be able to feel anything or whatever. But or you could be stuck in kind of like a lucid dream, blah blah blah. Now, she said that people broke into her house and cut the hair off of her daughter's head while she was asleep. Bruh. Um, Next one is mimicry, which is copying everything the TI does. There's a TI out here in Queens, and he does a really good job of comment of recording that too. So he has this jacket on. It's like a red. It's like kind of like a like not really like a bubble jacket, but it's like a puff, kind of like a small size puff jacket, and it has like red over the top, then a white stripe, and then like I think like blue going down, something like that. And he records. It'll be like different people, right? But they're all wearing the same jacket. And then you would notice the coincidence of how many people are wearing that same jacket. Now, some would say, well, maybe a lot of people like that jacket. And I'd be like, nah, to see eight different people that live within the area where he's always walking around at wearing the same jacket, come on, bro. Nah, that's not a coincidence, bro. Eight different people wearing the same jacket that all are walking around within the same vicinity that he's always in. Nah, that's not a coincidence. Then you got sensitization, stimulation by association. Uh, One example would be okay, so here is like, and I've had this happen too, where a lot of people don't realize a lot of this stuff is actively being done through a cell phone app that connects to a server somewhere, and remote neural monitoring. It's being streamed through a brain cloud interface. They got a private encrypted server somewhere on the internet, probably dark web access type stuff where you use a password, username and password, and there's probably an app that was created, and you can download the app, whatever. And it like it works like the emergency broadcasting, or you get like a notification or something whenever that person comes within a vicinity. Because remember, with remote neural monitoring, your body is basically like almost like a beacon. Anytime you come within a range of, let's say, an IoT, well, Internet of Things device, whether it's a Wi-Fi router, a cell phone tower, someone's cell phone, or anything that's connected to the internet, it basically tracks your biological frequency, and someone can get a notification on this app on their phone. And then what they'll do is they'll look at their phone, then they'll look at you, then look at their phone. And if you're not on that list of people to be, kind of like targeted, or let's just say if you're not someone who is, I guess you can say, empathic, woke, politically, you know, uh, like you're strongly into politics or whatever, opinionated things of that sort. More than likely, if you're not any of those, ooh, I almost spilled my cup. If you're not any of those, then you most likely won't end up on this list, right? Okay, let's spell that. But yeah. Next one, mobbing, harassment by several stalkers at once. People saying personal things about you indirectly. I've definitely had that. Especially, well, it was heavy in the beginning. Then they kind of simmered it down because I started to pick up on everything. You know, once I set my mind to something, I start to learn a lot of things, and I get real focused and sucked into it. So the next thing you know, I'm just like I'm in it, And then I have ADHD, so sometimes my attention, I'm all over the place. But then once I focus on one thing, I get hyper focused. So I start eating it up, you know. And I started to learn about how they use that mobbing in situations. They try to do it sparingly, but if you're consciously aware of these tactics, the things that they do won't bother you as much. It really won't. Because, well, at some point, you'll basically just become accustomed to it. And then, you'll be able to just call it out. Me, what I like to do, anytime I get like a feeling like someone is doing like that mobbing situation where, if they're walking by, they say, you know, um, well, what's something that they said recently? He um he doesn't do laundry enough or something like that, or whatever. I don't know. It'll be some weird where like it'll be something weird where like someone would be walking to you, right? They would be talking at a specific, at a specific volume, right? Now, at the distance that they're in, you can tell that they're just kind of like, having a normal volume like conversation between the two of them. But then as soon as they get within like just a few feet from you, like 3 feet or so from you, like 5 to 3 feet from you, all of a sudden when is this one part of their conversation, this one part of their conversation would just go get real high, like he's a faggot, and then just keep walking. And you just be like, fuck. You know, that's the type of stuff that they do, right? Then let me see, two more we got. Hacking, corrupting and remote controlling an individual's electronics. Obviously we all know what hackings are, so this is anything from your cell phone, if you have a smart TV, your smart TV. Um, if you live in a building that's basically that has a smart meter, trust and believe they have the entire building's electrical circuit on lock. If it's a smart meter, that means they can hack the system and control the amount of electricity that is either resting when nothing's plugged in the wall. They can increase the amplification or they can increase the static or what they call it, the dirty electricity. They can increase that, and then which would basically make the electromagnetic field pulse out even more, which basically is like non-ionized, radiation that's just like exuding out more into the apartment or in the room. Um, if you go to my YouTube channel, Target Individual CJBK, you'll see in the earlier videos where I do a demonstration of how they actually change the wiring of my circuit breaker switches. All of them were probably labeled. If there was a breaker for the refrigerator, there was a breaker for like the living room AC, there's a breaker for the bathroom lights and stuff like that. But then over time, they start to actually switch around. They start to switch the actual circuitry for the switches. And I wonder right now. I actually still wonder to this very day since I moved back to Brooklyn if they ever switched them back. And then now I'm kind of wondering if whoever is living in the apartment that I was living in, if they're experiencing what I'm experiencing, or did they just go along with it? You know. Anyway, and then there's electronic harassment, which is basically probably the worst part. Um, because everything else kind of almost seems like just, you know, everything else kind of basically seems manageable until you get to the true electronic harassment, which is anything that is manipulation of bodily functions, um, including the use of direct energy weapons. And it was just recently I realized you can convert radio frequencies into raw energy. And if you know about chemtrails and you know that the excuse that that scientists use for um, chemtrails, they're not going to call it chemtrails. They're going to say that it's um, nanometals or nanoparticles that are sprayed in the atmosphere to try to block off some of the sun's UV rays. You can look that up. That is documented in the news where scientists said that they were going to spray nanometals or nanoparticles into the ionosphere or the stratosphere that is supposed to block off the sun's ultraviolet rays. But here's the most simplistic part of understanding why that's wrong. Everything that's in the air has to come down because of gravity. So if it's a nano sized particle, that means it's able to get into everything from our skin. We breathe it in. It's in our food. It's in the water supply. It's in the trees. It's in everything. You ever wonder why there's so many like dead birds and stuff around? Because a lot of them are probably becoming even more and more congested and messed up because of these nanoparticles. Now, what these nanoparticles, these metals also do once we inhale them, it makes our body, because we produce a natural electromagnetic field, it makes our body even more conductive to the man-made electromagnetic fields in the positively, well, the negatively charged ions that are in the air. And with that, it basically makes everything from it makes our it basically have a lot of adverse or negative reactions against our immune system, respiratory system, um, our mental health, or cognitive functioning, a number of things. So yeah, there's that. What else? Right. Image inducing, basically, they can coding, right? They can basically, once you're linked up to their brain computer interface, they can, or once you're linked up to the brain computer interface or the brain cloud interface. Well, I think the brain cloud interface basically just allows them to be able to stream you through the internet so that other people can watch you. But the brain computer interface, I think that's the part where they can then be able to code certain things, images or whatever. They can be able to code certain thoughts, memories, things of that stuff. They can code it and then transfer it or convert it into a frequency, which is then processed through the brain, probably through maybe the visual cortex or the cerebellum. And then it's processed, and then it becomes a part of like a memory that is not yours. Um, there's dream implants, like I said, radiation exposure, psychotronic weapons, that's, synthetic telepathy, or what some like to call voice to skull. Uh, and then, yeah. So, right. And I think Myra made passed away in like 2014, something like that. But yeah, hour 45. Yeah. I don't know. I probably won't be able to upload this to YouTube still because YouTube has basically blocked me from uploading videos because I tried to upload a clip of a real model proceeding of international lawyers and doctors and scientists who are providing evidence to an international grand jury of people who um, are exposing COVID 19, all the players involved, which includes Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates, BlackRock, and among other companies. And the fact that they hid a lot of information that proves that COVID is actually not as dangerous as they claim it to be, and then also that they suppressed information or treatments that were much more effective than the vaccines themselves. That they suppressed this information, and then also um, the correlation between the correlation between um, let's call it wireless radiation and um, the virus, or the cities or countries where that contain the most um, you know COVID deaths, right? Anyway, yeah, I'm tired. I literally been up since about like 2:30 this morning. I started work at like 4:30 in the morning. I finished at like 12:30, so I'm tired. I do probably one of the most bravest things that any TI could do is I literally walk around delivering um delivering groceries. Meaning I make contact with people all day, every day. And not once do I ever make myself look scared, intimidated, or even for the most part, crazy because they when they do this slander campaigns, they basically say that's a crazy person. He's crazy. But the one thing that I realized that people who know me, when they actually speak to me in person, if they were ever thrown off or put off a little bit, by the way I'm posting on social media, but then when they see me in person, they realize it's different. Like I'm different. It's not that I'm different. It's just that you got to remember when you're reading things, you kind of are interpreting things in a way that you want to interpret them. You know, and you can't necessarily fully understand how a person is really saying something unless you hear it from them. This is just kind of one of the reasons why a lot of people like to, let's say, hear spoken word rather than just reading the poem. It's and anybody who knows me knows I have a history of writing poems and doing spoken word, so it's a difference. You know, um, they're so like they're so mad at me right now. They're so mad at me right now. They're like, he doesn't realize this is not a movie. He's about to die. The streets is watching him, and I'm just like, look. I never had a problem with the streets. I turned a blind eye to just about damn near everything. Never called the police on nobody. Never snitched on nobody. I mean, like, why all of a sudden I gotta be dragged into some shit that I never wanted to be a part of? Their whole thing was like, oh, well, since you told the doctors about the technology, now you either gonna become a police officer or you're gonna be a snitch. And I'm like, how the fuck is that my ultimatum? I become a police officer or become a snitch. You're telling me how to. all the fucking things I could do and with my life, you're gonna tell me I either have to become a police officer or become a snitch. Basically, is two very, very increased ways of you losing your life, no matter what. Um, and I'm just like, so you tell me I can't become? You can't tell me I could become a construction worker, or I could go to school to become a lawyer or something, or I could go and hell, I got an educational background in occupational sciences, well, athletic training, but I could have became an occupational therapist. There's a number of different things, and look, I just got chills, so that's how I know God is with me. What I'm saying is, they could have offered me something else to do, but they didn't want to do that. Why? Because this is about social engineering and human trafficking, right? So it's like they were like, and the reason here's the main reason why I didn't want to be a police officer, right? It's not that I don't like cops, and it's not that I like cops. I don't like the idea of knowing that I'm being remote neural monitored, and I go in, let's say if I were to become a cop, any investigation I might be a part of, or any type of anything that's going on within the precinct, that means they're seeing everything that I see, and they're listening to everything that I hear. That jeopardizes everybody. I mean, everybody. If I overhear, if I happen to be standing next to somebody, a cop that I don't even know, and he could be talking about his home address or something like that, that means whether that's a good cop or a bad cop, that means if somebody want to do something to him, now they know exactly where the fuck he live. I can't put myself in a situation where I know I can endanger. Well, I mean, obviously they're gonna, when it comes to gang stuff. Well, we're talking about remote neural monitoring, so basically anybody around me can be put in danger. And this is why I have accepted the fact that people who are not targeted individuals, I have accepted the fact that they may walk away from me. I have accepted that. I have accepted that. Why? Because God said that when the time comes and he will choose his his chosen children from the world. I forgot where in the Bible it says this, but it says, if ye was of the world would love thee. But because ye was of the world, you were of the world, and I, God, has chosen you from the world will hate you. And as I got chills just now when I said that, I'm gonna say this one time and one time only, and then I'm gonna end this because this is going on 2 hours now. Watch God work, because through the last 17 months that I've been going through this, the last 17 months, I did nothing but lean on God, lean on the faith of Christ. I lean on All I did was lean on my spirituality even more, and just pay closer. Like I got myself deeper into the Bible than I ever did, because I mean, honestly, the Bible is not just about storytelling, but it's also it's basically like a spiritual guidebook, because people don't realize we Earth is literally the battleground between light and dark, the battleground between good and evil, the battleground between God's people and then people that are now serving, Lucifer, Azazel, um, Baal, all those other, entities and whatnot, those dark entities or whatever. And then they don't realize it yet because they're so of the world, they don't necessarily pay it any attention to spirituality. They're so of the world, they don't even pay attention. They don't even think about the spiritual ramifications. Most of these people don't even realize some of the things that are bad happening in their lives are meant for them, because they spent so much time in their flesh doing so much wrong to other people, and then ignoring the fact that if you do so much wrong to other people, it's going to come back at you. But instead of them actually acknowledging the fact that, well, maybe I should chill, and maybe I should do something different. No, they just keep doing more. So then it's like, now at this point in the time for humanity, God is now choosing certain people to go through a righteous persecution. And if you are persecuted and you stand your ground and you do not give in to the temptation of, you know, all these low vibrational, emotions and things of that sort, there is something much more greater waiting for you after you leave your flesh. Because remember, our flesh is basically containing our spiritual body. Our spiritual body can do so much more that we can't do in our flesh bodies. But our spiritual body, our flesh body is literally just our vessel. It's just carrying us through this dimension. But yeah, I done talked long enough. I don't even know if they're gonna let me upload this. I should have did a live, honestly. I don't know. We'll see if I can upload this, but I should have did it live. Live would have been much better. Anyway, ooh, that is tasty. All right, I'm gonna tell myself a little bit. I'm not drunk. You can tell I'm very coherent, but Woodbridge has this very, very tasty, delicious Chardonnay. I just tried it yesterday for the first time. Woodbridge by Robert Mondavi Chardonnay. This is a rum barrel aged Chardonnay, and it is delicious. I mean, it is like tasty beyond measures. Okay, the rum barrel aged Chardonnay delivers flavors of bright tropical fruit and coconut with hints of warm spices and molasses, complemented by a creamy mouthfeel, long finish. Select lots are finished in rum barrels and blended with the wine to impart a bold and rich flavor. This is some delicious Chardonnay. Yeah, this is some delicious Chardonnay. And I suggest try it if you like white wine. Anyway, um, I done devoted most of my relaxed time to just trying to see if I can get this type of information out, because I don't know how much longer the Lord is going to keep me on this earth, but I am patiently waiting to see Him, because I already know, hey, look, people die every day, right? But I'm not going to be selfish and ask why me. I'm not going to do that. So remember, as I say on YouTube, take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.